let me tell you how this one card changed how I evaluate Magic cards. So I'm 1 to 2 years into playing Magic, specifically Commander, and one of my friends at the time was purchasing a card off of another one of my friends. They look up the price of the card and it's going for 50 cents, so he gives him 2 quarters, deal's done. The guy who later purchased the card tells me that, hey, this is a really good card. So I take a second look at it, so actually let's read it right now. So this is Rishkar's Expertise. For 4 and 2 green, this is a sorcery that lets us draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures we control. You may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. I have played this card before and I know it's good, but really taking the time to analyze how good it is separates us from a lot of players. So looking at the price history of this card, I started playing in fall of 2016, so it matches up that he bought it around 50 cents at this time. But as you see later in the price history, we're going to 2019, this is a $2 card, 2020 this is a $4 card, and then at its peak this is an $8 card. My friend bought it at 50 cents because he was able to evaluate this card differently than my other friend, or this other friend didn't need it, so it was just a space holder at the time. So a budget card can go from this to someone evaluating it correctly to being a pricey card, but not all cards are solely used in EDH. Other formats can affect these card prices, as well as the rarity or how many printings of a card. Not saying Rishkar's Expertise is used in other formats, I don't know because I solely play EDH, but that's something to take into account. Why did this become an $8 card? Did it just become one of those cards that goes into your Maelstrom Wanderer deck? You're already casting free spells, why not add this in there as well? Cast another pretty decent thing, 5 CMC or less from your hand. It's a really good card in that deck, by the way. Or how about how good a bad card is in certain decks? They can be actually very powerful. Let's take a look at Shirai Shizo's Caretaker. So Shirai takes advantage of creatures with power 1 or less going from our graveyard back to our battlefield, so ETBs are going to be the best thing for this commander. So taking a look at Serrated Scorpion, this is a 1/2 creature that when it dies it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Normally this is not very good because you just get it one time. But with Shirai we're able to bring this back every single end step, so we can have our opponents lose 8 life in this one turn cycle and keep using it from then on. And this is only a 9-cent card. There's Novice Oculist, so for 1 and a black we have a 1/2 creature. When it dies we draw a card and lose 1 life. Imagine doing this 4 times in one turn cycle. We draw 4 cards, lose 4 life. This is better than Phyrexian Arena. Of course, as long as we have our commander Shirai on the battlefield, we get this every single end step. But that's if our creatures are dying, so how do we do that? We have cards like Viscera here. We have sack outlets where we can sacrifice a creature and it doesn't cost anything. That's the best kind of sack outlet. So with Viscera here, we can sacrifice a creature and we're able to scry one. Since we're able to now sacrifice at any time we want, we can have cards like Zulaport Cutthroat. When this or another creature we control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and we gain 1. So if we have power 1 or less creatures, let's say 4 of them, we're able to do this each end step. Each opponent is losing 16 life in 1 turn cycle. This is a very, very good deck, and very budget friendly compared to a lot of commander decks. So how can you better evaluate Magic cards? First of all, you want to consider the color of the card. So is it colorless? How many colors is in this card? Because that's going to determine what deck it can go in. Next, you want to look at the mana cost of the card. For example, there's a card called Ancestral Recall. For 1 blue, you're able to make a player draw 3 cards. This is a very expensive card, and now they only print cards like Concentrate. So for 4 mana, you're able to draw 3 cards. So as you can tell, you'd rather have Ancestral Recall for 1 blue than pay 4 for the same outcome. You also want to consider, is this card giving me a discount? So am I able to get a discount of mana in this card? Am I able to cast free spells with this card? Am I able to Cascade, which gives us even more free spells? And then next is the speed of the spell. So is this an instant? Can this give me flash? Can it give the other cards that I'm casting flash? Which those can be also pretty expensive as well. By changing the speed of a card, you're now able to play these cards on your opponent's turn instead of just your turn. The next one is to start comparing cards. For example, we had the Ancestral Recall and we had Concentrate. These do the same thing. We get to draw 3 cards, but they're at a different mana cost. So you want to start comparing these cards that are doing the same or very similar things. And last, as I mentioned earlier in the video, when was this card printed? Because this is going to affect the price as well as how many printings are there of this card, and is it on the reserve list. This is also going to affect the price as well. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy this one right here. I talk about how cheap are these fetch lands right now. Spoiler alert, they are very affordable right now for being fetch lands. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.